It's been a very difficult day for the Aam Aadmi Party, and that's an understatement. Two of the party's frontline leaders, key to the party and the government, have tendered their resignations after being jailed on corruption charges. It's ironical for a party that was born out of an anti-corruption agitation. Now, the Aam Aadmi Party was supposed to be a party with a difference. The belief was that AAP could be many things, but not corrupt. That belief has been fractured over the last 1 year, first with the arrest of Satyendra Jain and now with the arrest of Manish Sisodia. The arrest of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia in the alleged liquor scam has been particularly tough for both the party and the government. He held 18 of the 33 key portfolios in the government. Now, the second resignation today was tendered by Satyendra Jain. He too, as you know, had held multiple portfolios, including health and PWD. Mr. Jain is accused by the ED of laundering money and has been in jail for the last 8 months. Now, the news of these resignations broke just 45 minutes after the Supreme Court refused to entertain a plea by Manish Sisodia challenging his arrest by the CBI. The top court says alternative remedies are available to Mr. Sisodia at the Delhi High Court. Mr. Sisodia was being represented by senior advocate and Congress leader Abhishek Manu Singhvi. His case hinged on two important points. One, that Manish's arrest constituted a special case due to which the Supreme Court must intervene. And two, the arrest was arbitrary as Sisodia was cooperating and that he is absolutely no flight risk. Now, the Supreme Court bench rejected both these arguments. The judges said that petitioners cannot run to the top court just because the arrests have been made in Delhi. They also reminded Manish Sisodia that there is a set hierarchy in place. So it's been a double whammy for Kejriwal, who was plotting a grand national campaign in the 2024 elections. Not only has his right-hand man Sisodia been arrested, his party is now muddled in the same charges that he crusaded against. And that's corruption. Needless to say, the BJP is having a field day with the news that came in today. They say these resignations are just the beginning and a big victory for them. Listen in to all the political reactions that have come in so far this evening.
देखिए, दिल्ली के 2 करोड़ लोगों का प्यार और आशीर्वाद पाकर दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री अरविंद केजरीवाल जी दिल्ली के लोगों की सेवा कर रहे हैं। उनका काम किसी प्रकार से रुकना नहीं चाहिए, बाधित नहीं होना चाहिए। इस कारण से दोनों मंत्रियों का, आदरणीय मनीष सिसोदिया जी का और सत्येंद्र जैन जी का इस्तीफा लिया गया है। उसको मुख्यमंत्री जी ने स्वीकार कर लिया है। लेकिन जहां तक इन दोनों मंत्रियों के ऊपर लगे हुए आरोप का सवाल है, ये आरोप पूरी तरीके से बेबुनियाद है, फर्जी है और कोई सत्यता इसमें नहीं है। ये बात मैं फिर से दोहराना चाहता हूं।
उसको संभालेंगे और उन्होंने 8-9 महीने बखूबी जो है 18 महकमे संभाले और अच्छे संभाले। मगर जिस तरीके से षड्यंत्र करके आज उनको भी गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया, अब एक प्रैक्टिकल डिफिकल्टी है कि इतने सारे महकमों को अगर नहीं चलाया जाएगा तो दिल्ली के लोगों के काम रुकेंगे, G20 का काम रुकेगा और सबसे नजदीकी तो बजट का काम रुकेगा। इसलिए जो है ये फैसला किया गया, उन लोगों ने अपना इस्तीफा दिया।
अच्छा, विभाग कब तक बढ़ जाएंगे?
एक्सेप्ट किया। देखिए, ये तो मुख्यमंत्री जी का प्रेरोगेटिव है, वो जो है इसके ऊपर अपना निर्णय लेंगे।
और 2 चेहरे जो कैबिनेट में शामिल किए जाएंगे वो कब तक होंगे?
देखिए, हमारे पास 62 MLAs हैं, वाइड चॉइस है आम आदमी पार्टी के पास, क्योंकि ब्रूट मेजॉरिटी है। और जो मुख्यमंत्री का जो काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स होता है, वो उनका प्रेरोगेटिव होता है कि उस काउंसिल में कौन रहेगा, कैसे रहेगा, तो उनका इंतजार करना चाहिए।
सोशल मीडिया पे तो आपका भी नाम चल गया, जैसे इस्तीफा हुआ तो बहुत सारे लोगों ने सोशल मीडिया पे आपका भी नाम चला दिया।
हमारा नाम तो चलता ही रहता है, हर चीज में ही चलता रहता है। और हमारे,
मुझे याद है जब पहली कैबिनेट बन रही थी, जब भी आपका नाम था।
कुछ लोग चाहने वाले हैं इसलिए चलाते हैं और कुछ लोग दुश्मन है इसलिए भी चलाते हैं।
अच्छा, लेकिन एक चीज है, आज आपको एक नुकसान सुप्रीम कोर्ट से भी हुआ कि आपको उम्मीद थी कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट से कोई ऐसा फैसला आएगा कि मनीष सिसोदिया को राहत मिलेगी, लेकिन ऐसा हुआ नहीं।
देखिए, आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट के अंदर आम आदमी पार्टी के 2 अहम जो है मामले गए। 345 पे हमारा पंजाब का मामला था, 350 पे हमारे मनीष सिसोदिया जी का मामला था। पंजाब वाले मामले में हमने कहा कि जो गवर्नर हैं, जो केंद्र सरकार ने लगाए हैं, वो लगातार केंद्र के इशारे पे जो है हमारी चुनी हुई सरकार का काम रोकते हैं। और अब तो ये हालत हो गई है कि वो कह रहे हैं कि बजट सेशन जो है सरकार नहीं बुलाई। ये कैसे हो सकता है? और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसको उनकी खिंचाई की इस चीज के लिए कि जो गवर्नर है वो जब जो है चुनी हुई सरकार सेशन बुलाना चाहेगी तब गवर्नर को बुलाना पड़ेगा। गवर्नर के पास ये अधिकार नहीं है कि वो चुनी हुई सरकार को मना कर सकें। तो बजट सेशन गवर्नर को बुलाना ही पड़ेगा, ये फैसला हुआ। दूसरा मामला जो था वो मनीष सिसोदिया जी वाला था और हम बड़े आभारी हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट के कि उन्होंने हमारी बात को सुना और हमें तुरंत समय दिया। चीफ जस्टिस की बेंच ने हमें सुना और उन्होंने कहा कि जिस कोर्ट ने आपको पुलिस कस्टडी दी है और जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट है उसके बीच में कई कोर्ट्स आते हैं। आप कई लेवल्स पे रिलीफ मांग सकते हैं, तो आप डायरेक्ट हमारे पास मत आइए। आप पहले उन लेवल्स को एग्जॉस्ट कीजिए, उन प्लेटफॉर्म्स को एग्जॉस्ट कीजिए, तो हम वहां पे जाके जो है अपनी बात रखेंगे।
सौरभ, ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट की खूबसूरती भी है ना कि जहां उन्हें लगा तो आपको राहत दी और जहां लगा तो उन्होंने आपको सलाह दी कि आप नीचे जाइए। लेकिन अब हाईकोर्ट आम आदमी पार्टी या मनीष सिसोदिया के लॉयर कब हाईकोर्ट जाएंगे? क्या कल जाएंगे या फिर और वक्त लेंगे?
देखिए, ये मैं आपकी बात मानूंगा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट जो है आज हिंदुस्तान में इकलौता ऐसा इंस्टीट्यूशन बचा है जिसके ऊपर कोई उंगली नहीं उठा सकता, जिसकी न्यूट्रलिटी के ऊपर आज भी जो है लोग कसम खाते हैं। अब ये जो लीगल स्ट्रेटजी है, ये वकील लोग जो है वो डिसाइड करेंगे कि भाई कौन से कोर्ट में जाएं तो लीगली जो है वो रिलीफ मिलने के जो चांसेस हैं वो ज्यादा होंगे, तो मैं उन पे छोड़ूंगा।
चलिए, सौरभ भारद्वाज हमारे साथ थे जो ये बात बता रहे थे कि आखिर सत्येंद्र जैन का इस्तीफा लेने में 8 महीने क्यों लगे और मनीष सिसोदिया का इस्तीफा लेने में मात्र 2 दिन क्यों लगे। वीडियो जर्नलिस्ट शमीम आलम के साथ पुलकित नागर, टाइम्स नाउ नव भारत।
जांच की आंच से घबराए अरविंद केजरीवाल ने दोनों मंत्रियों के इस्तीफे ले लिए। इस घोटाले के, इस दलाली के, शराब की काली कमाई के सूत्रधार अरविंद केजरीवाल हैं, उनको भी इस्तीफा देना होगा। और जितना घोटाला किया है, जितने 1000 करोड़ का ये घोटाला है, उसकी वापसी होगी। दिल्ली की जनता की जीत हुई है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं की मेहनत रंग लाई है। मैं आज दिल्ली की जनता को बधाई देता हूं।
Let me go across to our guests for a quick chat. They're joining us on the broadcast. Charu Pragya is spokesperson of the BJP. Syed Asad Abbas is a political analyst. Sanjay Jha is an author. And Madhavan Narayan is a senior journalist. Charu, can I come to you first? Why is the BJP claiming this is a big victory for them? Is it the job of a party to send members and ministers of a ruling government in a state to jail? How is this a big victory for the BJP? Charu, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I did that. My apologies. I'm back. So we are calling it a victory because we have been talking about the corruption that Aam Aadmi Party has been indulging in. And this is actually a sign that everything that we were anticipating and talking about was in the right direction. The CBI is investigating. We'll know more as the case progresses. But the fact remains that the vital questions that we started asking, that the CBI has been asking, are still unanswered. And they are very big questions. See, this resignation which has come in now, it's too little too late, because you managed to keep Satyendra Jain in the position of power as a minister for nearly 9 months while he was behind bars. Now, another one of your ministers goes behind bars, and I think it became too much for even the brazenness that Aam Aadmi Party continues to display. 60% of portfolios of Delhi government were with these two people. What's going to happen to the government? Is Mr. Kejriwal finally going to step up and take any kind of responsibility? Also, Mr. Sisodia thought that he was untouchable because everything that he was doing, it was being protected by Mr. Kejriwal repeatedly. There were tweets, there were statements, everything was in his favor, and he thought it will continue like that. He has not told us why he used dozens of phones in a span of merely a couple of months. He has not told us why did he actually destroy such a lot of digital evidence. He has not told us why profit margins were changed from 2% to over 12%, and then where all of that money has gone. He's not answered anything. So it's important that this investigation goes on in an unhampered way. He has to be in custody because otherwise he will continue to tamper with more and more evidence, and he will start impacting the available witnesses in a negative manner. Sorry, there's a lot of statics, Neha.
Okay.
If you can help me get this fixed.
Okay, we'll help you get that fixed. We'll just put you off air for the next couple of minutes, and I'm going to ask my production team to try and fix your connection. Meanwhile, I'm going to get in Saeed Asad Abbas, who will be speaking on behalf of the Aam Aadmi Party. As I said, the Aam Aadmi Party, in its wisdom, doesn't send a representative to Mirror now. Their wish, what can we say? But this is a big story, and they have questions to answer. Saeed, thank you very much for your time here on Mirror Now. Can I ask you whether the resignations came as a bit of a surprise for you? I ask you this question because for 8 months, Mr. Satyendra Jain has been in jail, and all this while Mr. Kejriwal has been saying we are a Kattar Imandar party, not a single charge of corruption has been proven against my ministers, this is vendetta, so why should I ask my ministers to resign? Now Mr. Sisodia is in jail as well. The Supreme Court has refused to entertain his plea. Both men resign within a span of 10 minutes. What does this tell us? Does this tell us that the Aam Aadmi Party is worried with the impact, these arrests have been having on their image, on their corruption-free image?
Not, Shreya. As a matter of fact, thank you very much for having me on your show. First things first, you asked me why the resignations now. Let me tell you. 18 of the 33 portfolios, very important portfolios held by Shri Manish Sisodia ji. The fact of the matter, like the city of Mumbai, which never sleeps, this is a party which never sleeps. Irrespective of two of its pillars now being in jail, the show must move on. The good work must continue. G20 summit, the budget session, so on and so forth. Also, as a matter of fact, Shreya ji, let me through your channel give out a message to the Bharatiya Janata Party. लश्कर भी तुम्हारी, सरदार भी तुम्हारा, तुम झूठ को सच बोल दो, सीबीआई भी तुम्हारा. ये जुल्म का दौर ज्यादा नहीं चलने वाला, क्योंकि ऑपोजिशन के लिए सिर्फ सीबीआई, ईडी, आईटी नहीं ज्यादा बैठने वाला. The fact of the matter, let me share a personal anecdote with you, Shreya ji, and the viewers. It was 2018 Karnataka elections when I was the young MLA candidate of the Aam Aadmi Party, and I met this man, Manish Sisodia. He could be a strict authoritarian. He could be a man who fires people for not doing their job. But this man is absolutely not a corrupt. I don't think he needs the certification as well. But he could be anything, Shreyaji, but not corrupt. And I bet my television live, if he's found to be convicted, you will never see my face again. Also, as a matter of fact, we need to understand here, why is it that the BJP appointed governors in every opposition state make so much of mischief to the people who are working? The fact of the matter, Anil Bajal previously, Vinay Kumar Saxena now, why? बीजेपी का मंत्र यही है, ना अच्छा काम करेंगे ना अच्छा काम करने देंगे. The fact of the matter, nothing happens to Suvendu Adhikari. Why? He's taken the immunity pill from the BJP. So is Himanta Biswa Sarma. So is the Gujarat Food tragedy, Bundelkhand Expressway, even my state of Karnataka, Janardhan Reddy. Nothing on them. CBI, ID, IT, बैठी है बस इनके लिए. Last 30 seconds, Shreyaji. Last 10 seconds, Shreyaji. The fact of the matter, what UPA did previously, is the BJP is doing the same now. The fact this is not a party with a difference. This is UPA 3 in power coming using CBI, not like caged parrots, but vindictive reptile snakes and the black mamba.
Abbas,
the black mamba
I take your point. I take your point that the BJP government at the center is using, Charu, is using the ED and the CBI as political tools. And I say this not based on what an opposition party says. I say this based on what data is telling me. The Indian Express has done a fabulous investigation. I speak about this every time, that since 2014, there has been a 4-fold increase in the number of cases against politicians by the CBI and the ED. And 95% of those politicians are opposition politicians. So data is telling us that. But the fact also is, Abbas, today there are uncomfortable questions for the Aam Aadmi Party, and the Aam Aadmi Party has not been able to answer those uncomfortable questions. Outrage cannot be a defense. When you are being asked a straight question, you need to answer that question. The straight question that the BJP and many others are asking is, if your policy was flawless, if it was not designed for corruption, why did you scrap it? Why did you withdraw it? Where was the need for Manish Sisodia to change his SIM 7 times? 7 times. The phone remained the same, but the SIM was changed 7 times during the period of investigation. ये सारी चीजें सुन के लगेगा ना, दाल में कुछ काला है. Anyhow, Charu, go ahead.
पूरी दाल काली है, श्रेया, पूरी दाल काली है.
So Shreya,
काली
Shreya,
आपकी दाल काली
can
है
I
या
please?
बीजेपी की दाल काली है, इज द क्वेश्चन.
बीजेपी के
Yes, yes,
बाप की
Charu, go
दाल
ahead.
काली है.
Sayed,
बीजेपी
can
के
I
बाप
speak?
की दाल काली है. Yeah, please go ahead, Charu. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Shreya, usually my friend Syed is a very reasonable man. I don't know what has
Always.
happened to him that he has decided to side with Aam Aadmi Party today without giving us any logic whatsoever. So Syed, I want to ask you, how can the number of shops increase, the sales go up as much as 80% for certain kinds of alcohol, and 37% loss of revenue to the excise department of Delhi? Please मुझको ये बात समझा दो. मुझे ये भी बता दो, if everything is so clean, what was the need to call for certain files digitally in a pen drive, mind you, and destroy it? If everything is so clean, why did people need to use 140 phones? 140 phones, does it make sense to you, Syed? And I'm asking you this because I know you will give us a reasonable reply. Also, you know what has happened with Aam Aadmi Party today is that they continue to speak about Manish Sisodia as if he's like the messiah of education in Delhi. Excuse me, first of all, what is the connection between Sharab and Delhi? What is the connection in you being a scamster and you holding a portfolio for education in Delhi? You have 18 portfolios today. Does not this party have any other person who's competent? People who are behind bars continue to hold portfolios. I think basically the pressure became too much. They did not have answers. They have resigned under pressure from the media,
answer,
from the opposition,
Charuji.
from the citizens.
Charuji, I will answer you in 30 seconds.
Okay,
Shreya
Sanjay,
you are
I'm
aware,
getting in.
UPA 1, UPA 2
Arey
में
bhai, I
there
have to
was a
get in
clash.
other
Sanjay
people as well
Sanjay ji,
into the
30
show.
seconds.
Sanjay Jha is
Just 30
waiting there
seconds, yes.
patiently.
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Madhavan
Sanjay
Narayan,
bhai,
I think
30
he's losing his patience. 10 seconds, not 30.
मेरे बड़े भाई हैं, हाँ. The fact of the matter, UPA 1, UPA 2 में Sanjay Jha may not agree with me, my friend, but the fact the CBI IT used to work very privately. Today, they give all the questions answered to the spokesperson. How are you so privy to such information, ma'am? I am baffled today. Is CBI working with the BJP dirty tricks department today? I am shocked. The fact of the matter, Manish Sisodia's wife is suffering from multiple sclerosis. BJP does not care. His son is out. You do not care. Mind you, ma'am, I challenge you today. This man will be scot-free. He will be proven innocent. And mind you, these are my words, which will be sacrosanct.
Mr. Kejriwal also said similar things, and he had to actually eat the paper that he wrote those dialogues
Sanjay,
on, that physiotherapy ho rahi hai
Absolutely
jail
not.
mein.
The court will decide.
Sanjay
The court
Jha.
will decide, Charuji.
Okay. Acha, ruko, bhai. Both of you, just a minute.
Sorry,
Let me get in Sanjay Jha now. Sanjay Jha, look, we don't know. No, that's fine, Charu. I'm just so delighted to have such pleasant guests on the show. It's an absolute delight that we can hear everyone's point of view without this degenerating into some sort of verbal fight, cat fight that usually goes on in television studios. So I'm thanking all my guests for this evening, for this decency this evening. Sanjay Jha, we don't know whether Satyendra Jain is guilty or not. We don't know whether Manish Sisodia is guilty or not. There are charges that have been leveled against these two gentlemen. Now there will be a long case. We don't know how long it lasts, and charges will be proven or they'll be thrown out by the court. So essentially, we do not know whether the Aam Aadmi Party is a corrupt party or not. But over the last 1 year, and now given the fact that two of its frontline ministers are in jail on corruption charges, has the image of the Aam Aadmi Party taken a dent? That if till a year ago or a couple of years ago, people believed largely that ye kuch bhi ho sakte hain lekin corrupt nahi honge, that image has gone out of the window, jumped into the Arabian Sea or the Yamuna in this case.
Shreya, very relevant questions. And before I answer that, we need to put two facts on record. Number one is what you correctly mentioned at the very beginning, that the opposition parties have been at the receiving end of the cases filed against them by both ED and CBI, and that Indian Express report was comprehensive. Nobody from the government has contradicted that. So one can see the very, skewed and definitely a prejudiced investigation going on, which is part of the BJP strategy of harassing the opponents. The second is the very low conviction rate of the ED and the CBI, which also goes to tell you that a lot of it is atmospherics and making the process the punishment. But now the fundamental point, I think Abbas is a good guy. But given the fact that he's taken an oath on your program that if Mr. Sisodia gets convicted, he will vanish from the political screen, I can only say that he'll be a very tragic loss to the Indian political ecosystem. And so I can write at this very beginning, say, it was nice interacting with you on the Mirror Now program. I'll miss you, my friend. But I think Shreya, on a very serious note, I think, the fact that the AAP now actually has begun to believe in his delusional philosophy that they are incorruptible, they are as pure as running water. That's not true. And Abbas Bhai, let me tell you, you have had your own ministers in Punjab who have had to resign. You know that. I mean, the fact remains, while we are talking about Mr. Sisodia and Mr. Jain, there are other 3 or 4 leaders of yours in both Delhi and Punjab who have resigned on corruption charges. So I really don't understand that why are you taking such passionate defense of something that, frankly speaking, cannot be argued for. And I think, this is the problem, Shreya, that end of day, remember this reality, that the Aam Aadmi Party's success, and I was part of the Congress team at that point of time, and I had to come on TV shows every night and respond to some outrageous, shoot and scoot allegations made by the Aam Aadmi Party. That is being your foundation for success. And today, if the BJP is going after you, I would say, it's the chickens are coming home to roost. You have on one side an authoritarian BJP exploiting the parrot, which is now, in my opinion, dead, flogging it around to beat every opposition party. Maybe the Aam Aadmi Party is collateral damage, that time will prove. But at the same time, the Aam Aadmi Party is equally, in my opinion, guilty of destroying other people's character, assassination in a brutal fashion, and then becoming a political force on their own. And you don't have any business to sound sanctimonious at all. You have proven cases of corruption against your people. So, let's not be hypocritical here.
Sanjay bhai, 30
Madhavan
seconds.
Narayan,
Yeah.
What does this do?
Okay, after. Okay.
Are bhai, 30 seconds ka what? Let me go to Mr. Madhavan Narayan, otherwise he'll get very upset
Please
with
go
me.
ahead, sir.
He'll get, and I don't want any guest getting upset with me this evening. God knows I managed to upset every second person who comes to this show. Madhavan Narayan, what does this do to Arvind Kejriwal? I ask you this question because 2024 is round the corner. This is going to be a big election, not just for the BJP, but for the Aam Aadmi Party as well. He doesn't have 2 of his strongest ministers with him, which is, of course, Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia. What does this mean? Does this mean he gets tied down to ruling Delhi, therefore doesn't have time for his national ambitions? Or is that daydreaming as far as the BJP is concerned?
I think Shreya, it's important to realize that Arvind Kejriwal does not have national ambitions for himself as much as for the Aam Aadmi Party. And that certainly will be suffering a setback right now. It's a challenge, but not a setback for Arvind Kejriwal as an individual. Let me give you a nuanced view there. Because the BJP, you yourself proved, and Sanjay Jha also out, and normally BJP's approach has been overdoing the CBI, ED, and charge sheet politics so much so that, it's I call the 4I formula: insinuation, innuendo, intimidation, and imagery. That is good for a certain kind of friendly TV channels to repeat it. But, I was myself concerned, Shreya, that you use the word jailed. Because journalists, we distinguish between a detention and arrest and jail, because jail happens only if you're convicted. This is a long-drawn court process, and a lot of, I appreciate...
I stand corrected there then.
Yeah, Charu Pragya made out a fairly strong case, which is unusual by her party standards, because they are good at throwing mud. She matched facts quite well, I must say. But having said that, the facts are not good enough to actually lead to conviction in my estimate. But politically, there is certainly a brownie point that the BJP has got on Aam Aadmi Party and has succeeded to a certain extent. But most certainly, national level, Aam Aadmi Party is sort of contained, because you can see also that Punjab is facing its own issues. And so, the way to look at it is whether it's half empty or half full, because Aam Aadmi Party was never headed for national status so soon, but they've got it already, and that itself is an achievement. But in 2024, they will be contained, and there is certainly going to be this thing. But having said that, CBI and ED and the overuse of charge sheets has reached a point where people will be asking whether CBI is a caged parrot or a predatory hawk for the sitting government. Please remember, CBI is not Lokpal. It's not independent. It's ostensibly autonomous. It is not truly autonomous, and there is no evidence to suggest that there is no political intervention in the use or stroke abuse of CBI. So it will
No,
be.
I don't think any thinking person in this country, Mr. Narayan, I don't think any thinking person in this country actually believes that the CBI and the ED act independently and that there is no pressure on them. The Supreme Court has said it, multiple courts have said it, and I don't think, as I said, there is any thinking citizen in this country who will believe that. Give me a moment here. Yogendra Yadav is joining us as well on the broadcast. Mr. Yadav, good evening. He's someone who's known the Aam Aadmi Party closely from inside. Of course, there was a falling out after that. But Mr. Yadav, how do you view the events that have panned out over the last 24 hours? You have Manish Sisodia in CBI custody, the Supreme Court refusing to intervene, and now the resignation of Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia. How do you view what has happened in the last 24 to 48 hours?
Shreya, as you know and as everyone knows, I'm no friend of the Aam Aadmi Party and would have no reason to particularly bat for them. And I'm sure you have people on the panel who would give their opinions. But I think this is not the moment to fight petty political games and to relish past anguishes and so on. We must look at the larger national picture. And what comes out from this entire episode is something that should disturb anyone who's serious about federalism, who's serious about democracy. I must make it clear that I pass no judgment on the specifics of the case. It's a serious case. The CBI is investigating. They are absolutely well within their rights to take it to the court to get a conviction against Manish Sisodia if he's wrong. Having said that, this entire drama of arrest, detention, playing it out to the public, basically it's a message. And the message is, if you dare to oppose us, if we find you politically inconvenient, we'll get after you and no one can protect you. That's not a good message. That worries me as a citizen of this country. Even if I'm opposed to Aam Aadmi Party, even if I don't dislike, even if I may believe that this case is a serious case worth investigating.
Okay, the perils of live television. I think Mr. Yogendra Yadav was on the road and his frame there was a little unstable. Mr. Yadav, are you back with us? Yeah, go ahead, complete your point.
Yes, I thought such a thing, such an arrest should be judged by two standards. One is, what are the normal standards when people are arrested? My own sense is that this is not a criminal case. This is a case involving, the question is of corruption. Do you expect this person to escape? Do you expect him to run away? Do you expect him to destroy evidence? If not, call him for investigation. He's turning up for investigation. Do the investigation, file the case in the court of law. Prove. Why get into this? Because this business of arresting is about giving a political signal. And secondly, we should also ask, is the CBI getting into similar cases of corruption all over the country? That comes to my mind at this moment in the country's life is Mr. Adani. Everyone would have heard some rumors about some wrongdoings being done by the biggest business house of this country. And people must have heard some rumors about the Prime Minister himself being implicated in those things. Have those been investigated? Is there some interrogation summoning the chief, the LIC chief of this, for that matter? So if you don't find the government going after every case of corruption, but in a very selective way, and if it begins by things like arrest and so on, the only conclusion you can draw is that this is political vendetta. I say once again, without passing any judgment on the case itself, I'm not giving clean chit to anyone, and I'm nobody to give clean chits. But this is not how we handle. This is actually a very poor signal for our democracy.
Let Charu Pragya answer that question.
Thank you.
Let Charu Pragya answer that question. I'm completely out of time, but I do think that the BJP needs to respond to what Yogendra Yadav is saying. There are very, very serious charges against someone like Mr. Gautam Adani as well. No hint of an investigation there. And yeah, okay, great. Go ahead. Charu, I'm out of time, but I wanted to give you 20 seconds to respond at least.
Thank you. Very quickly. First of all, Mr. Yadav, when you say this is not a criminal case, only a case of corruption, let me remind you, economic offenses are also offenses. If the crime is a white-collared one, it doesn't mean that it is any less than a blue-collared crime. Secondly, you are asking for answerability from an individual, from this country, from a citizen of this country. You don't want answerability from the government, which is elected by us. So please draw a distinction between asking an individual and asking the government. And lastly, earlier in UPA, maybe there were lesser cases because the system of you scratch my back and I scratch yours was being followed. And we know what that corruption did to this country. So this is no longer a symbiotic relationship where we turn a blind eye towards corruption. Also, this is the age of not just media, but digital media. Every person with a cell phone in their hand becomes a journalist. It's very difficult to hide things anymore. Thank you, Shreya. I think I kept well within my time.
10 seconds, please.
Yes,
10
but you didn't answer the question on an investigation on Mr. Adani. It was a smart
Allow me 10
deflect.
seconds.
You used nice words. You took the moral high ground, but you didn't answer the question. I'm out of
10
time. What do
seconds.
I say, Abbas? Let me
10
give you 10 seconds since it's the Aam Aadmi Party which is having a troublesome day today. Go ahead. 10 seconds and we'll wrap this discussion.
Shreya ji, thank you very much. And in your defense, I truly believe that the Aam Aadmi Party should have representation on Mera Now. Also, now Charu's point, Charu knows so much of information from the CBI which is not even in public domain. Ma'am, where is the money trail establishment? Where is the quid pro establishment? If you blame the UPA for this, what are you doing? You are playing with the CBI, IT. Also, as a matter of fact, Charu ji, simple si baat hai, bura mat मानिएगा. जुल्मी जब भी जुल्म करेगा सत्ता की गलियारों से चप्पा चप्पा गूंज उठेगा
जवाब दूं
जवाब दीजिए शायरी में
नहीं
दीजिए
अब आप लोग जवाब ना दें थैंक यू वेरी मच गुड नाइट इट्स टाइम फॉर मी टू गो home and all of you need to get your dinner as well thank you very much Charu Pragya thank you very much Syed Abbas good to have you on the show Sanjay Jha thank you very much Madhavan Narayan good to have you on the show and Yogendra Yadav joining us at the fag end of the debate good to have your viewers as well I'm slipping into a quick break there's much more news coming up on the other side do stay with us